Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Chiropractic Student Podcast. Today we are joined by Nico Weiler. He currently practices in the Netherlands, but he studied at McTimoney. He's a year ahead of me and we used to train together in the Kairos training culture. So firstly, thank you, Nico, for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me.
So first of all, I'd like you to just give like a little bit of background about sort of who you are, what got you into chiropractic, and a little bit about your journey through chiropractic at the moment.
Well, as you said, I'm Nico, currently working in The Hague, Chiropractic Den Haag. And yeah, grew up in Switzerland, then moved to actually first 2 years of chiropractic in Barcelona. And then I finished the studies in McTimoney.
So how did you get into chiropractic?
Big question. Good question, actually. So I always was a sport fanatic. And then at one point, new neighbors came in, and my neighbor was wearing AC Milan shirts and trousers, suits. And I said, wow, what's he doing? At the beginning, I thought, oh, maybe he's a footballer, but I knew almost every footballer. And then he told me, well, I'm actually a chiropractor. So I said, oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't know chiropractors could work with athletes or sports in general. So then, yeah, years went through, high school done. I said, oh, what do I do now? Always want to do something with sports. And I said, well, let's ask him what he would recommend, suggest, which schools, colleges, or so on and whatever. Mm-hmm. So he obviously studied in Palmer. So then he said, well, options could be studying in the US, but that's too expensive for Europeans, most likely. So then he suggested me to go to Barcelona. So I applied for Barcelona, got in, but still didn't know anything about chiropractic. So then he said, well, I don't explain you anything. I just give you a book, which was actually The Chicken Soup for the Chiropractic Soul. I said, well, let's have a look. And it was fantastic. It just explains chiropractic miracles, stories, what can you achieve with chiropractic with just a few single adjustments, and yeah, some miracles happens. And then I was there, well, what is if I will be the chiropractor doing these miracles? And it was just there, it was like, man, if I can do this, it's insane how you can help people and everything. It's incredible. So if you guys want to read that book, definitely go for it.
So the checklist for the chiropractic soul.
Chicken soup for the chiropractic soul.
The chicken soup. Oh,
yeah.
That's even better. The chicken soup. I love that.
Yeah, it's incredible. Already the name, I always remember the chicken soup.
Yeah. Oh, I've not heard of that book. I'll definitely get it.
Definitely nice.
Love that.
Have a read through.
And so you went through chiropractic school. So I didn't know you spent the first 2 years at Barcelona. How was that? Was that good?
That was really good. First year, philosophy-wise, was great. Great teacher, really vitalistic. And already in first lecture, he told us, well, you guys know universal intelligence, innate intelligence, that's key.
And so why did you move to McTimoney?
Because the 3 pillars, art, science, and philosophy.
Yeah.
Science wasn't my best, was never a study guy. So yeah, sadly I failed a year, but then they wanted me to repeat the whole year for one subject. And I said, no, that's not gonna happen. So then I moved to McTimoney.
Oh my gosh, I've failed so much. I'm not academic at all. The amount of times I had to resit human function and biomedical sciences is actually laughable, because science is just not my cup of tea.
Oh, not even mine.
And so cut to present day, so you've graduated and you're now working in the Netherlands. What sort of things do you do in the Netherlands? Like, what techniques are you working with? Like patient care, what's going on?
Actually really nice. Here the practice where I got the job offer, my boss said, well, do whatever you like. You have 10 minutes per patient, but treat them how you would be treated. or adjust them how you would be adjusted. So it's like, wow, great. And it was really nice because I can use whatever technique I want.
What techniques do you use at the moment?
I use mainly diversified, SOT, Thompson. Yeah.
Nice. And so going back to
AK
the
as well.
oh, go on, sorry.
AK too, sometimes. Yeah, that's it basically.
And you mentioned already the three pillars of chiropractic: the philosophy, art, and the science. If we were to break them down into how you were able to get better at each of them, let's talk about resources for philosophy. You've already said about the chicken soup for chiropractic soul. For students who are listening in, how else would you recommend them to get into a little bit of philosophy, a bit of a breakthrough, and for them to fall in love with the philosophy of chiropractic? It doesn't have to be a book. It can be a podcast or a person or something that just helped you.
The best book I would recommend is actually the Reality Check from Heidi Haavik.
Yeah.
It explains you everything.
It's really good at the
philosophy,
science.
science, and art. Actually, philosophy and science, it's sort of all in there. Not really philosophy, but the science, it's great. And then it explains as well what chiropractic is and whatever. If you don't know what chiropractic is, where do you start with the philosophy?
It's true. So that's like a really good, maybe like a foundation to work from, the reality check. It gives you an idea of the science, the philosophy, and art. Because she speaks on a few podcasts, and I've heard her talk, and she is all about the subluxation, which can be, I don't like it when it's categorized, but at the moment it's the subluxation model is put in that vitalistic box. But she is so backed up with science and research that it kind of gives it, it's amazing what she's doing. And so, like you say, it's backing up the science with philosophy and the philosophy with science. How did you like master your art? You're an amazing adjuster. I'm lucky to have been adjusted by you. How did you get good at adjusting?
Yeah, training. So basically, I was really lucky in second year Barcelona. I had Daniel Sterling, leader of MLS, as a teacher. So the whole year in second year, we have, I think, 6 hours a week.
Wow.
So the first hour was just strikes, actually free body training.
Mm-hmm.
And then strikes, meditation, everything through. And then obviously adjusting as well. So it was a huge impact in my art.
That's awesome. Is there anything else that you would like recommend for students to do for?
Yeah, well, obviously it was for me, but yeah, Syntropy is incredible. In my first year, I already went there when they first started creating the seminars.
Yeah.
It's so simple explained that actually everyone who's been there one time can maybe be already able to adjust.
Nice.
Because they break it down in really simple steps.
So Syntropy, and then obviously look into a little bit of the MLS stuff.
Yeah, so I would say starting with a basic first. I see Syntropy as basic because they explain bit by bit. It's not rushed, so it's really well done. And then I would say a level up would be Kairos training culture and MLS.
Cool. And
which
then
is fantastic.
And obviously, I know you like your AK, you like doing, you mentioned meditation. Is there anything that they can do as students to like work on themselves? Because I'm a great believer on if you're not in optimal health, then how can you give that to people? If you are not in perfect alignment and good vibration, then how are you supposed to offer peak care? And how do you stay in good?
I completely agree with you.
Yeah, how do you stay congruent to that? What kind of things would you recommend for people to try out, or books to read, or meditations?
Well, going back to the art,
yeah.
Usually in university you learn 2 or 3 or 4 techniques, not more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say 2. And remember, a patient they maybe don't need 1 or 2 techniques. They maybe need way more. So you need to adapt to a patient. It's not for yourself, but for the people laying on the bench. So at one point I was in class, what I'm learning here is not enough. What can I do? So then I knew chiropractors using the thereSOTO blocks. So it's the SOT blocks. Oh, that might be interesting. So I bought a book on Amazon, the manual of SOT, ordered some blocks at home. I first studied the manual, SOT manual, and then I applied the technique on my parents. And my mom, she was the first one. Oh, can I try it out? Can I try it out? So, well, great. So I started doing it, and she felt great afterwards. I see, oh, wow, it's working. Well, it took me a long time to learn it. It's a step.
So you self-learned that by having the curiosity?
Learned the 3 categories of SOT. So SOT is divided mainly in 3 basic categories, 1, 2, and 3, obviously. And I learned it all by myself.
And that was just out of curiosity because you were interested to see these other techniques?
Yeah.
Wow. So linking that to like a student, so let the curiosity of a technique lead you further. Like you were saying, these manuals are available online, and you can get them secondhand for probably half the price as what you would pay.
But I think even on Amazon, it's like 35 euros, 35 pounds, 40 pounds. So it's not really expensive, and it already explains you really well in a simple way. Category 1, category 2, category 3, and the principle of SOT.
Wow.
Which is basically using blocks and releasing the tensions throughout the body.
And so do you have any other resources that you think are like quite pivotal for your growth in chiropractic that you would recommend for some students?
Basically, it's hard to say. So for students, I would just see where do I want to be in 3 years or 4. Let's say that if they're in first year, where do I want to be in 5 years?
So create some goals.
Yeah, I would create goals. So for me, for example, it was okay. First 2 years, I just go to the same seminars, which were Syntropy at that time. Until I know them, let's say for 95 or 100%. Once I've done these, I step to other seminars. For example, then I went on to do a lot of extremities because I said, well, I know how to adjust spinal. I said, well, let's try something else since I want to get into sport. So I need to adjust extremities as well. So then I've done that. And then at one point, Kairos came from out of nowhere to the UK. And then it was Carl Thomas and Danny, his actual girlfriend. And said, oh, you have to go. So we all went there together. And it was incredible. So I would just set goals. What do I want to learn? Where do I need to be in this tot amount of years? And so on. Because even though we are chiropractors, we don't stop here. We are always doing extra seminars.
And it's how do you get to your goals? So it's great having the goals, but you need to break down. If I want to become a master at SOT, it's creating the steps to becoming there. So I have to practice it. I have to train. I have to read. I have to learn. I have to probably talk to SOT people for like experience and like just get involved in the community. Like you need to break it down, not just, oh, I want to learn SOT. You then have to go one step
obviously
further.
If you say I want to learn SOT, then you do a bit of research and then you end up on, let's say, the website SOTO Europe, where they have all the seminars listed. Then you look up, okay, that sounds interesting. I apply for it. Let's go.
SOTO Europe. I know we had Donald Francis on here, and he has a big influence on the SOTO Europe. He's one of the instructors.
I think he's the leader in there as well.
Yeah. So that's really cool. He definitely mentioned that as well. So that's interesting. It's come up a few times.
Now, for example, let's say Thompson, there's Minardi.
Yes.
Minardi Thompson technique. He's great as well. Great philosopher.
Yeah, John Minardi, the way he explains what a
Yeah,
vertebral subluxation is, like the neuroscience of it is
he's
really good.
incredible.
Do you ever listen to like any audiobooks or podcasts or things like that?
Not really. I listened last time to one was the practice where I work on of Minardi. But I
Yeah.
think you can just get them from him. So you can't buy it, or you have to buy them. But I don't know which one my boss got. It was so deep into the science. So basically he started, what happens if a doctor comes to you and he says, well, chiropractic is just basic. That's mainly how doctors think about chiropractic, let's say medicine. Well, you're not doing medicine. And then in that podcast, he threw down all the science, what happens in the brain, releasing the hormones, and he said, wow. Then a doctor is there shocked. Oh, seriously, you know all this? So yeah. But obviously you need to dig into it. So I need to do it personally myself as well.
But that's good. So John Minardi, I mean, you can probably find some YouTube videos. I know
Yeah,
he's been on Dr. Tom's podcast and spoke about this as well. So that's really interesting. And so if you just type his name into like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, him on podcast will probably come up. So you can listen to a few of his things. It's really good. Okay, so if say I'm a year one student and I come up to you, Nico, and I say, I want one bit of advice. You can tell me, if you could tell me one thing, the holy grail of advice, what would you tell me to do? The first thing to do?
First thing I would ask you, have you ever observed a chiropractor? If you say no, oh, why are you here in college? So I would make the student think, why are you doing this? And then if he says, for example, yeah, I already have been to a chiropractor observing, I say, okay, so you're already one step further.
So the first step, why are you doing chiropractic? You need to find out your chiropractic why, but also get out there and observe chiropractors.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Like every time I went back to Switzerland, I was observing my chiropractor. The one that was working for AC Milan, and that's incredible. He just gets out a tool like a vibrocaster and say, "Oh, with this vibrocaster, I used it on backhand, for example." And so, wow,
that's so cool.
Insane.
That is insane. Thank you. There's like loads of resources there. I've written them all down. We've got so much to like go through in terms of there's loads of books there, lots of seminars and just general advice for students. It's going to be really helpful for everyone. If people want to like follow you on like Instagram, Facebook, or like get in touch, how can they do it? How can they reach out to you?
Instagram. I think it's Nico Weiler.
Yeah.
With Nico, how you call it, not the slash, the
underscore hyphen.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Underscore Weiler. You can follow me. You can ask me questions. If you're students studying in England, living in we used to live in the Netherlands, just give a shout and observe. Not a problem.
Nice.
And obviously, depending on which year you are in, it's always nice to show them how you work to a student. And if they want to palpate as well, and then let me know what you find. It's nice. It's good to confront.
Go and observe. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, that's what I do right now as well. Let's say last time my sister came, she's studying at ACC.
Yeah.
It's nice. She came here for 2 weeks and she said, well, I just want to come and observe. And then she basically palpated every patient as well, checked it. I would do this. What would you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Some sort of discussion as well.
And that's so important for like students to go out and be like, I would do this, and then have someone who's experienced in clinic adjusting hundreds of people a week saying, cool, yeah, I would do this, I would do that. And having the hands-on experience, being able to observe and almost work alongside with it's like it's like shadowing, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
more than just,
Even going back to the palpation
yeah.
for year one students. I know you don't know a lot, but just get your parents laying on a sofa, face down, just touch the back. You will find something. It's not that nothing is there. Maybe you find more heat, a bit more tension there. Oh, look, there's a small lump. Maybe it's a vertebra. But yeah, you will find stuff. The more hands you put on people, the better it is.
Yeah. Learn the ability of touch.
Yeah.
Because touch is
Right?
so undervalued. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Amazing.
can get easily. Just get the hair off your head, put it in a book, and always add more pages until you can't find it anymore.
Yes, I remember Matilda did her
Yeah,
dissertation on that. It was really good.
yeah. We had our philosophy teacher in first year Barcelona. During our break, he said, "Do this in your break in school."
Amazing.
So that's how you touch is really, really important.
Well, so much advice and information there for students. It's so good. I think that's a real nice place to wrap it up. We've got your contact details. If people want to go and observe, get in touch with Nico, have a little chat with him. He knows so much, like, you know, a lot of stuff. And it's interesting because to get it out of you, we've got to kind of prize it out. But like you say, your SOT, Thompson, AK, diversified, McTimoney, there's so many techniques that you know. And it's so valuable to talk to someone like you who's got knowledge in everything. And you're so new to coming out. Like I'm a year behind you and you're so knowledgeable. It's like, people, take advantage of this, message Nico and get, like, I don't know, get inside of his brain and get as much information out of him as you can, because he is offering himself to just help everyone out. So thank you so much, Nico, and thank you so much for coming on the show, giving your time and having a little chat with us. And thank you everyone else for listening. This has been Lewis and Dr. Nico, and we'll see you next time.